The Minecraft community has seen a lot of success. With niches like manhunts, modding, and more, it's clear that Minecraft has had a large impact on the platform as a whole. One of the most notable types of content you see nowadays is SMP content, which grew in popularity because of the many SMPs that lifted it off the ground. Unfortunately though, because of recent controversies, many feel unsafe, while others have jumped to the conclusion that SMP content itself is dying. But when you take a closer look, you begin to notice that there's actually a pattern, specifically in commentary culture. With commentary on the rise, many people in the community have jumped onto the bandwagon and taken advantage of their voice and the system that gives them that voice. And with that group expanding, it's important that we understand who is involved so we can avoid the spread of negativity and help others to do the same. Now, one person that most will instantly recognize for abusing the system is JakeJxke. Many in the SMP community label Jake as a scammer, as for multiple instances, he's shown himself to be very untrustworthy, which is unfortunate because he was known to make content to help other creators looking to make more quality SMP videos. But when you take a look behind the surface, you actually begin to see how he got his way. He used his positive persona to lead others on and fake hire people just to get what he wanted. And he did this to a considerable amount of people, with witnesses describing how he did it and how much he took from them. It got to the point where now most people in the community recognize how he works and advise against collaborating with him. That and, well, he's sort of become a punching bag for jokes, as it's very easy to see when he's up to no good. Even Jake himself, after having an exposed video made on him by another member in the community, simply just responded as if he was in on the joke. And while the community has dealt with him in that way, sweeping other bigger creators under the rug isn't as easy. And this certainly is the case for ArtualCM, as on the outside, he's made a respectable reputation for himself not only when it comes to his SMP content, but also his commentary videos. But one video he uploaded would cause a lot of controversy, with the reason being because he targeted one of the most popular SMPs, the Infuse SMP. In his video, he bashes the SMP for being dishonest about X-raying and scripting their content. His statement about the Infuse SMP leads him to generalize all SMP content as lazy, drawn out, and unoriginal. And according to him, the Infuse SMP in particular is an obvious content farm that lacks value and actually damages the SMP community. He claims that by not admitting to using X-ray, that the lines between what's real and what isn't real are blurred. And he assumes that if they were to be honest about the supposed X-raying and played the game legitimately, then they knew they wouldn't have nearly as big of a reward. But that's the thing. Even if all of his assumptions were right, that they were doing everything he said and keeping it under wraps, then they'd only be doing the same thing he is, taking advantage of the system. You see, before he uploaded this video, Artual supposedly got invited to and kicked out of Infuse relatively quickly. Feeling very unhappy with Infuse's decision, he uploaded his first video on the drama with SMP. In this one, he gives his first thoughts on Infuse X-raying and other ideas that he would present in his main video exposing it. And the feedback was mixed. Specifically on Twitter, he received backlash due to his strongest point being that they weren't being honest about the usage of X-ray. But his tweets involving Infuse and its members did get more traction, with some people favoring his perspective due to their dislike of not only the idea of X-raying, but InfamousJJ himself, who's a main part of the SMP. But does any of this have any value, or is it all speculation? Well, in order to get a better understanding, I interviewed JJ about it. And without wasting any time, I immediately started with the first question. Alright, so the first question is, why was ArtualCM kicked out of the Infuse SMP?
This is an interesting question. Artual was never in Infuse. I think this is a pretty general misconception. I think a lot of the people that have been involved or like have been watching this whole thing go down. Artual was interviewed to like join Infuse because I found his channel. I thought his videos were pretty cool, so we decided to interview him to possibly join Infuse. But during the interview, we kind of realized that like we just didn't really vibe as people. It's not anything like content related, but like we're just like different people, you know. We ultimately decided not to invite him to the server, but then maybe he misunderstood it, or I don't know what happened, but like he just kept saying that like he was invited, which is kind of annoying because like he wasn't. We were just interviewing him.
So he really never was invited?
No, he was never in the Discord. He was never told he was officially invited. It was just, we always make like group chats with people we may potentially want to invite to the server to like interview them, scope them out, like see what they're like and see if we like vibe with them, want to be friends with them, want to invite them and so forth. This happens with like every new Infuse member since like, I don't know, since season 1 we've been doing this.
That's actually interesting because I've been thinking this whole time from like what he's been saying. He was invited to it, but...
Yeah, that's a pretty common misconception.
The second question is, what do you think his purpose/intention was with his video exposing your SMP?
I don't know. It's hard for me to really say. I don't really know Artual as a person. I can't really say what he's thinking. From the things I've heard, from what he's like told various other people, his motive is like that he thinks that like we're stealing views from him or something like that. And he feels that it's unfair that people can use something, you know, like X-ray, which say about X-ray, you you know, whatever you want. But he just thinks that it's unfair, which it's not necessarily like a bad thing to say. If that's his opinion, that's his opinion. You know, I can't tell him what to do. At first, I didn't really think much of it because, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's just like silly Minecraft drama. Where I kind of started seeing it as more like malicious instead of just trying to like spread light on a situation that he thinks is wrong is when he started to like accuse us of either like scripting content or I think it was taking away his sponsor or something. What? I think so. I think it was Feather, yeah. That's when he started like accusing us of this kind of stuff that he just like had no proof of. That's where I kind of started seeing it as more of like a personal attack, I guess, or like just doing it because he didn't like us.
Do you think it could deal with like the fact that he was rejected from y'all?
Maybe. Again, I don't really know Artual as a person, but when I gave him the news that he wasn't going to be joining Infuse, he seemed kind of upset with me because I remember he said he did like a stream where he was practicing the Infuse kit. Like he tried to like not argue, but like I don't know, he seemed pretty upset. So maybe.
All right, is Infuse SMP scripted in any way? And like what about the X-ray?
Well, Infuse has never been scripted. Infuse isn't scripted, and Infuse will never be scripted. The only instance I can think of anything Infuse related being scripted was when one of our members, Danny RPG, did like a stream for his finale for Infuse Season 2 with his teammates, which he pre-planned. But apart from that, all the main events of Infuse have never been scripted. The reason I even started Infuse with my friend Diney almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy, is because we were in an SMP called the Risen SMP, which was scripted. We really didn't like making content on it. It wasn't very fulfilling. So we left that and we started Infuse with some friends, and it has become what it is today. And for X-raying, as I said in the original screenshot that Artual posted to Twitter, there's no like rule on Infuse where it just says like, oh, you can X-ray. Oh, X-ray is allowed, this and that. All I really said was that if someone needs to X-ray or someone feels the need to X-ray, or I catch someone X-raying to get like some diamond armor, I wouldn't really care, just because it doesn't really impact the server economy. It doesn't impact the quality of life for me or any other players, because people just use villagers anyway. Like infinite diamond armor and infinite enchants is already a thing, you know? It just doesn't really change anything, which is why I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I saw Rion in I think his most recent video. He was making a joke about using the X-ray, and then someone pointed that out.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I don't even think he was planning to X-ray. I think the only reason he did that is just to make like a topical joke, because I mean, not some, like I feel like most people on Infuse don't even really X-ray just because there isn't really a point. You can already get diamonds like super fast in this update. But yeah, now I feel like people are doing it more now just to make a joke out of it than like ever before.
So what's your current status with Artual?
I don't really know. I don't think we never really like had a status. We're not exactly friends. We're not exactly like, I don't know. He's a content creator. I'm a content creator. I personally don't have anything against Artual. I don't want to beef with him. I don't want to spread any hate about him on the platform. I've said this from the beginning. I don't know what my status is, but it's definitely not anything negative. I don't wish for anything bad on Artual. Just as I said earlier, he has the belief that we are somehow taking views from him by uploading these quote-unquote videos that he thinks are scripted, which I just think is kind of silly, because that's simply not how YouTube works. You know, people throw around buzzwords like, oh, pleasing the algorithm a lot. And when you've been in the YouTube game for as long as I have, and I haven't even been here for that long. I've been here for like 2-3 years, maybe, something like that. I've been doing it seriously for like a year at most. There's no such thing as pleasing the algorithm, and there's no such thing as stealing viewers. If the content that you make and you post on the platform is good and people enjoy it, then it will get more views. If it's an interesting idea, it's well edited, if it has good pacing, good storytelling, people will watch it, people will enjoy it, and YouTube will recognize that, and it will be recommended to more people. And good videos can coexist, you know? Someone can go watch my 20-minute building video where I build or I capture the rarest mobs, and then someone can see a 50-minute video from Artual where he like takes over a small Minecraft server and be like, oh yeah, I want to watch that as well, you know? Why can good videos not coexist? I think that is probably the dumbest point that can be put out there. I can't really say or talk for what Artual is doing, but from the arguments that I have heard from other people that he himself has stated, I just think it's a bit silly. Because good videos can coexist. No one's stealing views from no one, and if you make a good video, people will see it and people will watch it, and that is a guarantee.
Now with confirmation, I want to make sure to address the 3 instances where Artual went wrong. The first being the problem he talked about the most, which was the X-ray. In the first video where he talked about it, he makes the point that Infuse is deceitful because of their lack of honesty to their audience. However, However, he says this when giving his opinion on X-raying.
It's ridiculous to me that the thought of X-raying being okay is a possibility. I spent almost 100 hours on each recording and even more in some cases, like my 50-minute video.
Although heavily disapproving of it here, he says this in the main video.
I personally don't care if you X-ray, but I do care if you use it without admitting it.
Unless changed in that short time span, this statement conflicts with his previous one. But this isn't the only time he does it though, as an older video of his resurfaced because he had shown that he had an older version of an X-ray pack. Some people use this in an attempt to call out his hypocrisy, which he never ended up legitimately proving or disproving. But this leads into the next instance, because the main argument, which he used himself, was that it was last year, which is ironic in this situation when you consider that in the same video made on Infuse, he exposed Sharkilz for doxing people years ago, claiming that they haven't matured, instead deleting their Discord server and having their friends covering for them. When in reality, Sharkilz as a person has made some significant changes and has shown it. This is hypocritical of Artual because essentially he also hides behind the same excuse in order to justify or downplay his actions. Even when this hypocrisy is pointed out, his supporters double down with the same reasons and excuses he criticized. One of these being that everyone uses it or has it, which even he rejected in his first video discussing drama. But the last part that is the most concerning is the endangerment that he can cause other SMPs to go through, and this is apparent at the end of his Infuse video, where we can see his interaction with Ty, which wasn't a positive. After calling out Infuse, he gets contacted by Ty. From Artual's perspective, Ty looked suspicious, as he was trying to invite him to a voice call. Artual refused and took it as a sign that Ty was afraid that he would start looking into his SMP, which is strength. However, on Ty's end, he seems to offer a different perspective. Alright, so the whole situation with Artual. Explain everything that happened, because a lot
The Infuse?
Yeah, the Infuse video, where he addressed your SMP at that.
My SMP.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he addressed that I added him to a call because he's getting somewhere and that I'm scared of him, which is just not the case. Even privately, Artual has called me out for having a scripted SMP, but every time I'd asked him, how are we scripted? Why do you think we're scripted? He would just ignore the question. I can send screenshots, but yeah, another thing that not many people know, in his video, when I did send him the strength SMP VC invite, right? It was a guest invite. He didn't blur out the link, and as soon as that video came out, a lot of his fans started joining that call and just harassing us, and it was so bad. Like, we didn't do anything, we didn't involve ourselves in any of this. I don't know why he even felt the need to bring us up, but we didn't do anything, and I don't think he intended to do that. I don't think he intended to get people to join our call to harass us. I don't think he meant to do that at all. I don't think he intended to, but he still did, and the fact that he kind of involved us in something that we weren't even involved in, it was kind of immature.
Despite the several flaws that Artual shows with the way he flows, he still continues to amass a large audience that he can persuade into believing and doing whatever he says. But unfortunately, he isn't the only one with this advantage, as his fellow associate in commentary NineTakes, referred to by some as TakeNine, has seen a lot of success on his commentary channel with the same maliciousness. NineTakes has built a name for himself not only in the SMP community, but also in the commentary community itself. His videos exposing creators who are corrupt gained him respect from thousands who are unaware of their situations. But by taking a look at his most recent videos, his abuse of the system becomes more noticeable. In his video on Yellow Wolf, an ex-member of the Color Crew, he did some investigation on him after being directed by an anonymous source. This video's feedback was unusually mixed. Some people had been shocked at what NineTakes had uncovered about Yellow, while one commenter actually debunked the video entirely, with several counter-arguments and opinions that NineTakes didn't listen to. One of the main problems they had was NineTakes coming off in a hostile way towards Yellow, catching him off guard and pressing him, rather than actually establishing a connection steady enough to not raise any alarms and getting its entire perspective. It's clear that Yellow was uncomfortable and unprepared for immediate defense. Not only that, but after NineTakes uploaded his video exposing him, Yellow supposedly filed a defamation complaint on his video. NineTakes responded to this on his TakeNine channel, where he claims that he hadn't called Yellow anything close to a predator in his video, which isn't true because the entire duration of the video built up that narrative, especially when he pinned him as a creep and his actions as degenerative. But that isn't the only false statement, as near the end of that video response, he claims that
Yellow was quite literally continuing the situation. If he just ignored it and let it die, I'm confident he would have been fine.
To him, he thinks that Yellow could have just walked away from a video with several allegations against him, when it doesn't work like that. Nowadays, with predator allegations popping up left and right, it can and has ruined many people's reputations, whether proven to be true or wrong. And although NineTakes was generally unsure about the situation himself, the video still caused so much controversy to the point where the Color Crew removed Yellow. And if he went offense or defense, well...
But hey, thanks Yellow. I got another video to make on you and milk out of you. The more you persist, the more I will talk. You can't get rid of me, buddy.
Recently, he's dropped the Yellow drama but remained consistent on his TakeNine channel, and Ty actually addressed this in his interview.
There are people like on NineTakes NineTakes YouTube channel exposing pedophiles, that is a great message to be doing. Exposing pedophiles is great. I'm cool with NineTakes. Something that he does do that I think is really stupid is hopping on the Artual trend and canceling SMPs. I think that's pretty stupid, and I think he knows that now too because of the amount of other people he's influenced to do the same thing. And I know that he thinks it's stupid too that people are doing all this and copying the way he does stuff, formatting it word for word. Like, I know he doesn't like that too. Exposing pedophile commentary videos, great. Accusing SMPs for being scripted when they're not, like, there's no need for all of this. Just let it go.
Yeah, actually, why specifically do you think he could be upset that other people are doing what he does?
Because the messages are bad and people are just doing it to do it. And the thing is, when he exposes people, 9 out of the 10 times it's for a positive message. But then other people, other creators who try and be just like him and can't cancel people for the reason he does, just do it anyways.
According to Ty, he's not very fond of others in the same niche being a copycat, especially with the countless videos of people claiming that SMP content is dying. And while these videos get views and bring attention to them, it also causes others to hate and avoid SMP content in general. It's a small price to pay, a price that not only they suffer, but also the entire community. But it's a terrible cycle that he unintentionally paved the way for. And even if that's the case, he's not even interested in trying to change or improve it. Instead, he continues to commentate and spread negativity inside and out of the community. And with Artual by his side, they empowered the cycle and abuse of the platforms they have, them and the ones that spawn after. Lach, also being a part of that group, has been compared to NineTakes when it comes to his commentary. He's mostly treated as a joke by the SMP community because when it comes to his commentary, it's obvious that his lack of proof, evidence, and what someone consider yapping makes people not take him seriously. But he isn't the only one that they struggle to find reliable, as another commentator named Kalics made it clear when he abused the system and it backfired heavily on him. His most popular video even received backlash from the people he interviewed, one of those people being NineTakes himself. He, along with many others, called the video out for being spliced and cut up to the point that it spun a completely different narrative. But the fortunate part was that most viewers had actually realized that it had done that. However, the worst part is that what Kalics and Lach have in common is that they were still able to fool a majority of people before anything had been cleared up. This alone goes to show how the system is so easily capable of corruption, and also how it's just trending now to make videos to just expose. And a commenter on one of Kalics' videos actually pointed this out. After Kalics asked for proof, he gave him more than enough just to prove it, and it didn't even take him long, so credit to him. Ironically enough, one of the videos is actually Kalics', so there's that too. Also, you may or may not have noticed, but a common theme here is that the people taking advantage of the system are all close in some way, as Kalics happened to associate himself with both NineTakes and Artual before being outed. Somebody else could easily fill that gap, and unfortunately, it's likely that they will. And if it continues like this, then the SMP community will be more at risk. And not only this community, but other communities as well. Take pay to win, for example, which also stems from other SMPs. These servers often encourage younger audiences to gamble, which has not only been an issue for a lot of people, but also happened to create the anti-pay to win community. This community takes their own approach to combating these pay to win servers. What members tend to do is look for or exploit cracks that they see in the server, such as dupes and other glitches in an attempt to break it. This method is used dominantly, although most will acknowledge that it actually does little to stop these servers from using their harmful pay to win systems. While the usefulness of these measures are debatable themselves, what isn't clear is the fact that some larger creators purposefully use the system to get what they want, which isn't always good. One in particular that's shown this the most is Z-Man1064, who recently learned that even his power has limits. One of the cases that incited this knowledge was his own video on Skeppy's supposed pay to win server. In it, he notices that the server appears to have fake sales on his website. After getting confirmation, he gathered his group and they went to work by destroying a chunk. Eventually they were found out and he got banned, but as he said in the video, the message was going to be sent out, and indeed it was. Many people at first thought that Skeppy was indulging in the pay to win system, while others noticed that he might not have actually been as involved as it looked, although the video had been formatted as if he fully acknowledged and supported the system, and because of that, it spawned a lot of hate towards him. It's important to note that Z-Man himself told his audience not to go after him because even he wasn't sure if Skeppy actually supported it, but that was at the end of the video, so the damage was already done. But the video itself gained a lot of attraction, and Z-Man had already gone on to make another one on another YouTuber, SB737. This video had been removed from his main channel and uploaded to his other one due to not being up to standards. He concludes the previous situation by showing that the fake cell had properly been removed after he uploaded his video. And although he wasn't contacted by anyone from the server's team, nor Skeppy himself, he still considered it a major win. He then goes on to explain the situation with SB's server, Penguin.gg, which he first claimed had a fake sale. After tweeting it out to SB, he actually got a response from him stating that he hadn't actually been involved with running the server, so he didn't know why that seemed to be the case. But he offered a resolution, and after that, the sale was removed. Z-Man then flexed on Twitter, to which SB responded by clarifying that it actually was not a fake sale. This response was followed up by one of the supposed managers that gave Z-Man proof. At that point, the situation was cleared up, and yet Z-Man still found something to be fishy. He then got more clarification from SB, but was still confused. His main point was that the sale had ended conveniently around the time he exposed the server, and despite SB announcing one himself, had no idea about them. Even with those suspicions, they were still, well, suspicions. In fact, that's what both videos were built off of, with the only difference being that T-Man was partially right about the server that Skeppy barely manages. That, and he rated Penguin.gg off of that same premise, only to be confused after finding out what actually happened. But by having regularly taken advantage of the system, these videos still have misled people into thinking these YouTubers are promoting these sales, which would also lead others to hate them. This constant speculation was most present in the SB video, which some of his viewers began to realize and agree that it was nearly up to standards. Despite all of this, Z-Man received some support and all kinds of criticism as well. He responded to backlash by claiming that the shady people are losing money and want to bring him down, and uses that as proof that the community is being affected. And he has a point, although not necessarily for those reasons. You see, the Minecraft community in general is being affected by people who not only take advantage of their voice, but also take it for granted. And because they do take it for granted, that causes others to suffer for what they cause, whether intentional or not. From a creator's perspective, many if not all of these subsections of the Minecraft community are on thin ice. And because of that, many of the people, guilty or not, that do end up getting cancelled really start to see how corruptible the system has become. Yellowwolf is an example of one of those people. NineTakes' video on him ultimately put him in a negative light, and he didn't even need concrete evidence to be convincing. But that isn't even accounting for how NineTakes got the evidence that he did. Regardless, the inaccurate image of Yellow still led the color crew to kick him out. Keep in mind that Yellow has been making videos with the group for years, and although this allegation is a part of the reason he was kicked, the color crew hasn't officially made any statements regarding the decision to remove Yellow. But another thing to note is that they also hadn't said anything regarding Terran, who felt neglected and left on his own. If I had painted Booster as the villain in that video about Terran, then that on its own would be a terrible usage of my voice. But it's a scary situation because that is something that every creator in the Minecraft community is susceptible to. Whatever gets thrown at them doesn't even have to be solid or true in order to negatively affect them. And most commentary YouTubers and other creators acknowledge that and use it to their advantage, gaining hundreds and thousands of followers in the process. With these viewers at their disposal, instead of using their voice appropriately and in a way that won't ignite drama, they do the opposite. And only some of their viewers are starting to realize. The SMP community isn't dying, no, but this constant abuse of the system is harming it, along with other communities inside the Minecraft community. The point of this video is to make people aware of the systematic abuse, and I'm curious to know what you all think of this, whether any of you have noticed it too, or if this is new to you, anything honestly. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, but please don't say I didn't know this person was like this, disappointed, or anything like that. You'd only fuel the massive, never-ending hate trend that's plaguing these platforms. Instead, take a moment to think of a way that commentary in general can improve, so these creators don't have to rely on abusing the system to get the attention they want, and the people who have malicious intent never get their hands on fame. At the end of the day, you as the viewer impact what's popular, and if together we build a loud enough voice, they'd be wise to hear us out. And if nothing changes after that, then we're doomed. But considering this has never been done before, I think we have a chance. And in a world where negativity thrives, I'll personally take that chance.